All right, welcome to the show, y'all. Hope everybody out there is having a great day. All I have to say is prepare yourself, because shit is getting wild out there, okay? So, in just a second, the deal with Iran is already falling apart in real time. Trump was threatening to kill the negotiators as they were, in transit to have the peace talks. We have Iran shutting Hormuz in response and ending the talks and refusing a photo op with the U.S. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Trump just sabotaged himself instantly. We'll also talk about how Trump is hitting rock bottom over his pet project, the reflecting pool, which is an absolute disaster. That story is now comical. It is an encapsulation of the downfall of the U.S. as a global empire, so we'll talk about that as well. And then later on, Israel and MAGA are accused of rigging the Colombian election for Colombia's version of Trump. So I'll have all the details on that for you. To be honest, there definitely are voting irregularities. It is looking incredibly sussy, to say the least. And so we have the Colombia's leftist president basically saying, I'm not certifying this shit yet, bro. We need actual verification. And you, of course, have the right is flipping out. You have bodies in the streets. There's a lot of protesting. It's getting a little violent out there. So scary, scary stuff. We have that and much more. So you guys know the deal, man. Everybody do me a big favor. Please subscribe to the channel and click that bell icon. That helps out big time and costs you nothing at all. You can also support the show on Patreon. Remember, y'all, this is real independent media. I've never talked to an advertiser. I've never done an ad read. I never will do those things, and I'm very proud of that. You guys have made that possible by giving $2 a month or $5 a month. Just even a dollar helps out quite a bit. So thank you very much for those of you who support the show. You could also sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack to get the full exclusive video interviews over there. You, of course, can listen for free as well on all the audio podcasting apps. And also Corn's World, of course. How can I forget about Corn's World? Everybody go sub to Corn's World. We should be live there tonight. We're live every Monday night. And remember, y'all, it's a lot more laid back and a lot more chill than us over here covering in detail the destruction of the world as we know it, which is exactly what's going on. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into it. So let's start with this. As I told you, the Iran deal is falling apart. Now, here's the thing. The open secret is it's not much of a deal. It's a deal to have a better deal in the future. It's a memorandum of understanding, which is like, let's talk about how we'll talk more to maybe get to peace. It's sort of like the equivalent of a promise ring in high school for your maybe girlfriend, maybe not girlfriend. Like, that's sort of the gist of this thing. So it's already weak. It's already on baby deer legs. And then Trump cannot help but shoot himself in the tiny mushroom dick. And he tweeted out the following: there will be no tolls in the Strait of Hormuz for 60 days during the ceasefire period. And there will be no tolls after the 60-day period has expired, unless they are imposed by and for the United States of America, should the deal not be completed, for services rendered as the guardian angel to the countries of the Middle East for purposes of both past, present, and future reimbursement of costs. Thank you for your attention to this matter. It is frankly insane to say a thing like this, because as part of the deal, there's no tolls for 60 days in the Strait of Hormuz, but then after that, I believe it's Oman and Iran control the Strait of Hormuz, and they charge what's basically a tax or a fee or a toll, or I think they might spin it as some environmental protection price or something like that, just to try to get around officially calling it a toll. But the bottom line is Iran and Oman would effectively control it together, and there would be a tax. And here Trump comes out and goes, you know that thing I just agreed to that was a pain in the ass to get, that I'm taking a lot of heat at home for it because the Zionist lobby is coming after me? Yeah, it turns out I actually agree with the Zionist lobby, and I'm against my own deal that I nominally agreed to. So he agreed to it, and then he turns around and goes, actually, there's going to be no tolls unless I'm charging a toll. And then also, to call the U.S. the guardian angel of the Middle East, that is diabolical, bro. That is nasty work. After carpet bombing their little girls' elementary school and bombing hospitals and steel plants and civilian infrastructure, and then you call yourself the guardian angel of the Middle East? You're more like the devil of the Middle East. You're more like the Antichrist of the Middle East. What are we talking about? Oh my goodness. Oh my days. So he comes out and says this. This is like when they're on their way to the talks in Switzerland, bro. J.D. Vance is on the way. Trump's corrupt goons like Kushner and Witkoff, who are probably going to sabotage it, but they're on the way to do the talks. So then Trump continues and he says, Iran must immediately stop their highly paid proxies in Lebanon from causing trouble. If they don't, we'll hit Iran very hard again, just like we did last week, only harder. Love to threaten bombing your opponent at the same time you're meeting up for fucking peace talks. Honestly, the dumbest man on earth. I actually think he has dementia, and I actually think he's the most easy person to manipulate on the planet. And so somehow the J.D. Vance types got his ear before and got him to agree, hey, we need to make a deal because we need to open the Strait of Hormuz or we're looking at an economic depression. And then the second J.D. Vance leaves and goes to Switzerland for these talks, fucking Mark Levin or Netanyahu or some other asshole hawk immediately gets in Trump's ear, and then Trump's out there going, maybe we'll bomb Iran again. I want to bomb Iran again. Wouldn't bombing Iran be great? Yeah, an awesome thing to say as your government is literally in the midst of ongoing peace talks with them. What a fucking idiot. What an idiot. The other thing I love about this is they're highly paid proxies. Somebody said on Twitter, yeah, because, people join Hamas and Hezbollah for the benefits, for the vacation time. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Also, it is not Hezbollah causing any problems. It is Israel stealing Lebanon, still bombing in Lebanon, and Hezbollah has defended Lebanon. And they've gone after Israeli soldiers who are illegally in their territory. Because remember, under the deal, they have to leave. Israel has to leave Lebanon. And they're not doing it. Okay, so instead of Trump going after Israel, he's going after the Iranians and their allies. That's what's happening here. Now, think about everything we've seen in the media is stating the opposite. They're like, oh, Trump is more pissed at Israel than the Iranians. Well, he's certainly not fucking acting like it. I told you, man, this thing is on baby deer legs. It always is. How can you make a deal with somebody like Trump who has said, oh, let's have peace talks in the past, and then he murdered the people? They did this a number of times where it's like, oh, yeah, we'll meet with you for talks, and then they just bombed them and murdered them as they were waiting for the talks. It happened with Qasem Soleimani. It happened in Qatar with Hamas negotiators. It happened all over the place. This is what they do. You cannot trust us. You can't trust Israel and you can't trust the U.S. Trump made economic deals with Canada, then got back in office and ripped up his own trade deal that he fucking made. How can you trust a guy like that? How can you trust a guy that pulls out of the Paris Climate Agreement? How can you trust a guy that rips up the Iran agreement when it was fucking working? You can't trust him. There's no way you could trust him. All right, more. It gets worse. So Trump is trying to tweet his way into destroying his own fucking memorandum of understanding. Well, then he talks to this dipshit reporter at Fox News, Trey Yingst, who's basically a stenographer to power, and Trump makes it significantly worse. Listen to this, y'all.
President Trump tells Fox News he spoke with Iranian officials overnight and said, you close it and you won't have a country. He went on to tell these officials, you won't even make it back to your effing country.
So he threatened to murder the Iranian negotiators when they were in the process of negotiating. And he said, I will murder you in Switzerland, where we're having these talks now. And he has a track record of murdering negotiators. Does it sound like he wants peace? Does it sound like this is a country you can actually deal with? No, we are out of our fucking minds, bro. We're out of our fucking minds. He acts like what we do doesn't count, doesn't matter. Like, people can't form opinions based on, your credibility when you say shit like this. This is ludicrous. To say shit like this is ludicrous. So he's going, don't you dare shut the Strait of Hormuz. Well, they should, because you've already violated the deal. In fact, look at this. Dropsite News posted this. President Trump today appeared to violate Clause 1 of the Memorandum of Understanding he signed with Iran at Versailles last week, which commits both sides to, quote, refrain from the threat or use of force against each other. In a Fox News interview, he threatened to take over the rest of the country of Iran and warned it won't have a country if it closes the Strait of Hormuz, and said Iranian officials won't even make it back to your effing country if they close the strait. The Strait of Hormuz, nevertheless, remains closed for a second day. So he violated the deal, and they upheld their bargain. In fact, that's what this says. Breaking: the Iranian negotiating delegation has left the negotiation venue in Switzerland in protest over President Trump's threats, per Iranian state media. Iran calls the threats a violation of the June 18th Memorandum of Understanding, which bars the use of threat or force. So understand something, y'all. Iran has been working with master psychologists, with senior psychologists, in terms of dealing with Trump properly, because they're taking it as a given that he's mentally ill and he's sundowning and he has dementia and Alzheimer's. And so they've decided, well, let's not take a shot in the dark in terms of how to deal with somebody like this. Let's get somebody who can deal with these particular issues, who knows how to manage this. And so one of the things is, very clear by the Iranian actions, is you have to be firm. You have to stick to your word. You have to be firm. And you say something and they cross that boundary, you can't move the line. You need to do the right thing and stick by your own word. And that's what they're doing here. So this thing has already been cooked 1,000 ways to Sunday, y'all. This so-called deal. All right, Clash Report says, breaking. Iran's military announces closure of the Strait of Hormuz to ship traffic, citing U.S. violations of the war-ending Memorandum of Understanding and Israel's continued ceasefire violations and killings in southern Lebanon, plus failure to withdraw from southern Lebanon. Iran calls this the first step, warning further measures will follow if the violations continue. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me explain to you. It was Trump himself who said, bro, if we don't get that strait open, it's going to be bedlam because we're running out of gas. We're blowing through our strategic petroleum reserves. It's like at one of the lowest levels it's ever been in modern history. And so Trump himself says, if we don't get that strait open and that oil flowing, we got problems, y'all. We got real fucking problems. And at the same time he says that, he wakes up the next day, probably snorts some fucking Adderall, feels high as a kite, and he starts lobbing threats left and right. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, how about this? Iran brags that negotiators snubbed Vance during photo op at peace talks. And then look at this. Look at this picture. Oh, how embarrassing is this? How embarrassing is this? By the way, I actually have video of it. Qatar snubs J.D. Vance. America is a laughingstock. So Iran walks into the room. They refuse a photo op. The Americans wanted a photo op with Iran. Iran refused it. They're like, we're not doing a photo op. Because like literally minutes before or a couple hours before, Trump was talking about, I'm going to kill you all. I'm going to kill you all. How dare you? I'm going to kill you in Switzerland. I'll do it now. You won't have a country. I'll destroy your country. And then they're supposed to act like that didn't happen and like everything's fine. So Qatar comes in and Qatar also snubs J.D. Vance. Look at how embarrassing this is. J.D. Vance is a fucking joke. Humiliating. Absolutely fucking humiliating, man. I mean, what do you even say at this point? The U.S. truly is a laughingstock. The U.S. truly is a joke. We're not good to our word anymore. Our word means nothing. Our word is fucking, is like a soiled diaper. Who the fuck would take us seriously? And now the chickens are coming home to roost. And what people are realizing is, oh, wait a second. Iran has the Trump card, pun intended, with the Strait of Hormuz. And everything else is bullshit. Everything else is talk. And they could fucking act like we're big swinging dick, we're in charge. But we're fucking not. We're not in charge. Okay, more. So Trump sent Steve Witkoff, his fucking golf buddy, his fucking, real estate business guy, who doesn't work for the U.S. government but was picked as like, hey, you negotiate all these deals. All he's been doing is self-dealing, making corrupt deals where he gets a piece of the pie along with Jared Kushner, right? So Trump's United States Special Envoy Steve Witkoff seen wearing a $105,000 Rolex to the Iran negotiations in Switzerland. Hey, Steve, who paid for that? Who paid for that Rolex? Was it Israel? Was it Saudi Arabia? We know Saudi gave Jared $2 billion. We know that. Who paid for that? Was it one of the U.S. corporations that you made corrupt deals with or one of the foreign governments that you made corrupt deals with? Who paid for that? This is a sick joke, bro. They are rubbing the corruption in our face. They're rubbing it in our face. Then J.D. Vance comes out and says, oh, it's okay because Jared Kushner is the architect of a way to give Iran hundreds of billions of dollars in their unfrozen assets and how it will be distributed. Well, like I said to you guys, Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff, they've been, self-dealing this entire time with all these so-called negotiations and deals around the world. And so basically what you're saying is, oh yeah, I turned this over to the mob to figure out, to dot the I's and cross the T's and get the logistics right. Well, how much money is fucking Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner? How much money are they skimming off the top? Listen to what J.D. Vance says here. This is incredible. He just says this out loud. When again, Jared Kushner doesn't even work for the government. He's just Trump's fucking son-in-law. He's fucking Trump's daughter. And that allows him to be in the room for these high-level negotiations? What a sick joke. There's reporting that he gave classified information to Saudi Arabia, and that led to MBS cracking down on his political opponents. And maybe that's why the $2 billion came his way from Saudi Arabia. Listen to this.
Jared Kushner actually came up with a very interesting solution with the Qataris, where basically, again, if there is any frozen Iranian assets that are unfrozen, then we have approval over that process. The Qataris have approval over that process. And then the money would actually go to buy American soy, American corn, and American wheat for the benefit of the Iranian people. And as much as I see some of the press misreporting on this, and of course, buttressed by what the Iranians are saying.
Now, by the way, let's just pause to point out, if it was Barack Obama or Joe Biden that made this deal, where now we're top business partners with Iran, what would they say? They would say, this is Barack Obama and Joe Biden making a deal with terrorists, getting in bed with terrorists, spreading jihad around the world, snubbing our allies, and putting our middle finger up to Israel. How dare you make the United States best friends with terrorists? But they come up with the idea, this is a brilliant idea.
Not all Iranians. I want to be clear. There are a lot of Iranians who are telling the truth about what happened yesterday, but you see some social media reporting that gets this wrong. But fundamentally, what Jared and the Qataris and the entire team here in Bergenstock accomplished is, to me, a classic Trump deal, where if Iranian assets are ever unfrozen, they're going to go to make American farmers richer and to feed the Iranian people. That's a very, very good and very classic Trump deal that's great for our people, great for the people of Iran, and fundamentally, again, will contribute to this regional security architecture that we've built and that we're going to work very hard to ensure that it endures.
And how much are you guys skimming off the top? Reporter asks, does the U.S. want Israel to withdraw forces from southern Lebanon? Which, by the way, is basically like a reporter saying, hey, will you agree to the very obvious thing you already agreed to in the Memorandum of Understanding? J.D. Vance says, the Israelis have been very clear that they don't have territorial intentions in southern Lebanon. Huh? What? Excuse you? Listen to this. This is insane.
Does the U.S. want Israel to withdraw forces from southern Lebanon?
Well, we want Israel's security to be protected, and we also want Lebanon's sovereignty to be protected, and this is going to be an ongoing conversation. The Israelis have been very clear. They do not have territorial intentions on South Lebanon.
That is quite literally the most untrue thing I've ever heard in my life. In fact, I'm going to do a segment tomorrow on the Zionist freak out over just the prospect of peace. But suffice to say, you have people like Ben-Gvir who went on Israeli TV and said, Lebanon is ours. It's our playground. We should do whatever the fuck we want with it. And we need to bomb more homes, steal more land. They're openly saying, no, that's ours. We're going to take that. That's ours. Netanyahu just gave a speech the other day going, we're not withdrawing. No, this is a security zone. No, it's not. You stole all of South Lebanon up to the Litani River. And he goes, no, it's a security zone. And here's fucking VP Eyeliner, the smoky-eyed sociopath, as Jennifer Welch calls him, saying, no, Israel has no territorial ambitions in South Lebanon, bro. That's just a lie. You're just lying. Let me ask you guys something. How on earth is this deal ever going to get done? And how on earth is the Strait of Hormuz ever going to be fucking open if we're still at the point where the vice president of the United States is pretending like Israel is not expansionist and they're not trying to take more and more of Lebanon? It's not going to happen. That Strait of Hormuz is going to be closed motherfucking forever. That's Iran's point of leverage. And they're going to use it unless and until we actually pull the leash on our fucking dog, our rabid dog known as Israel, which is currently marauding through the Middle East and stealing more and more territory, committing ethnic cleansings and genocides on a regular basis.
The reason they feel they have to be there is because they're worried about Hezbollah fighters in South Lebanon firing into Israel.
What a fucking lie! You literally had Ben-Gvir come out and say, I see no difference between Hezbollah and the people of Lebanon. In the same way that people like Ben-Gvir said, I see no difference between Hamas and the people of Palestine. They are telling you they are all the enemy. They bring up Amalek. What does that mean? Amalek in the Bible is, also kill their women and children, also kill their animals, kill everything, torch their olive fields, dump fucking raw sewage in their water. This is the sort of shit that the Israelis do. And he's like, the Israelis, bro, they just care about security. What are you, a fucking baby? No, he's not a baby. He knows that's a lie, and he's saying it anyway.
We do believe, of course it's going to require a lot of hard work, that we can get to a place where Lebanon's territorial integrity and sovereignty is protected, Israel's security is protected, and that's going to require some coordination with the Lebanese armed forces, and also it's going to require the Iranians to rein in Hezbollah. That's all the sort of things that we were talking about yesterday, and again, I think that we got much further compared to where we were just 24 hours ago.
This is all so delusional. There is no such thing as the Lebanese forces reining in Hezbollah. Lebanon is completely captured by Israel. Hezbollah, basically, they are the Lebanese defense forces, if you want to know the truth. Hezbollah is the Lebanese defense force. The actual government of Lebanon is completely co-opted by Israel and controlled by Israel. Hezbollah are the only group that are actually trying to protect the people on the ground. So J.D. Vance either has no idea what the fuck he's talking about, or he's very comfortable just flat out lying in front of everybody's face. Here in Reuters, Iran will not give up its right to enrichment, and the U.S. will be forced to accept it, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian said during an annual monetary policy conference broadcast on state media. So this is what I mean when I say we have irreconcilable differences, because Trump, Netanyahu, Vance, the U.S. deep state, the military-industrial complex, they are not going to accept this. They're not going to accept the reality that Iran now has a trump card. They control the Strait of Hormuz. They have leverage. They have the upper hand. And now you have the president saying, we're not going to give up our right to enrichment. Well, then cue the Zionist freak out where they'll say, oh, this means they're going to develop a nuke. And this means they're going to, the Zionists want them to not even have the right to basic ballistic missiles. So they don't want Iran to be able to defend itself in any way, shape, or form, even though they were just offensively attacked by the U.S. and Israel, aka the Axis of Epstein. So, but the Iranian president is standing firm. There's no way that we're actually going to iron out a deal in 60 days, and there's no way they're going to open up that Strait of Hormuz, and there's no way, with all the Israel lobby money in our government and the Epstein blackmail, there's no way we're going to make them fall in line and pull the fuck out of Lebanon and stop attacking all of their neighbors. All right, ready? After a peak of 15 tankers sailing through the Strait of Hormuz, the number is back to 3 today. My base case is the same as in recent months. The problems in the Strait of Hormuz will last much longer than consensus thinks. And let me reiterate, y'all, what happens when we blow through the strategic reserve? I'll tell you what happens. We run up against the same problems that Asian countries faced virtually immediately when the Strait of Hormuz was shut. Namely, we're going to need to ration. We're going to need to do like we did in the 1970s. Like, hey, if your license plate ends on an even number, you can get gas on these days. If it ends at an odd number, you can get gas on these days. We're going to need to do like work from home orders. Did you know that there's over 80 countries that already did energy saving measures preparing for when the shit fully hits the fan with the Strait of Hormuz? And the U.S. is one of the only dumbass countries in the world that's shoving our head in the sand and treating this in the same way that we treat climate change, for example. We act like it's not happening until the motherfucking penguins are on fire and we all die. And now we're doing that exact same thing, but when it comes to the energy crisis. So buckle up, y'all. Buckle up. We got oil experts saying over $130 a barrel is on the way. $5, $6 gas is on the way. I don't even know how high it can go. But then there's the second order consequences to that, which is like, all right, grocery prices are going to skyrocket even more. Why? Because oil and gas is a massive input for everything in our economy. So what happens in that scenario where people are already struggling to afford their food at the gas at the grocery store? And then what happens after that? What happens when stuff goes up much more than it is now? These are things that these idiots haven't thought through or don't care about. Or Trump has one moment of lucidity where he points out there's going to be a problem, and then he goes right back to threatening Iran and blowing up his own deal. Okay. The Shallow State says, it almost looks to me as if Iran is mocking Trump. It looks to me as if Iran understands how to exploit his hyperbolic narratives, addiction to social media, and lack of impulse control. It looks to me as if Iran understands strategy and posture better than him. It looks to me as if Iran doesn't yet want to give him the daylight he needs to exit the debacle he started, while he continues to insult and threaten them through bloviation. And Trump cannot stop bloviating. He needs to project grandiosity or he'll melt. He'll keep posting threats. He'll spin the narrative to say that Iran is falling apart, has no leaders, and has no cars. Iran controls the Strait of Hormuz. That's a card. Iran has enriched uranium. That's a card. Iran took the U.S.'s best punch and still fires missiles and drones. That's a card. Iran still has its regime intact. That's a card. Iran knows Trump's polling is tanking partly due to the war. That's a card. Iran knows that they have negotiated a massively favorable deal. That's a card. Iran knows that Trump and Israel are at odds. That's an important card for them to exploit. Iran knows that it looks to much of the world as if they're the more credible actor. That's an amazing card. Iran knows Trump is trapped. That's the biggest card. All of that is exactly correct. And then I'll also show you this. This is probably the best breakdown of where we're at right now that I've seen to this point. Watch.
All right, everyone. What is the problem? We won. Just read the loose terms of the document we didn't make immediately available. This is their total surrender in the form of an arrangement with the Iranian government we said should be toppled by the people we also threatened to annihilate. First, they are opening the strait that we control, avoiding the potential economic crisis that we said was not our problem. Then they get $300 billion from anyone besides us to rebuild the infrastructure that we bragged about destroying. And yes, maybe they deserve some missiles to defend themselves from the neighboring countries we're saying should pay that $300 billion. Just not nukes, made from uranium dust that we had to get until it was buried so deep only we could get it, and they promised to give us, so now we don't need it. And I'll be honest with you, the press is not reporting the importance of this agreement we made in Versailles. It's like a treaty. Let history remember that we signed the Treaty of Versailles. Now, can we please move on to the president's executive order that the color green should now just be considered a different shade of blue?
Look, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Baboon regime. This is a baboon regime. They have the IQ of baboons. What do you like better, baboon regime or bonobo regime? Either way, they're monkeys flinging their feces because they're incapable of actually coming up with an intelligent plan and carrying it out. What do you expect? Intelligence from motherfucking Pete Keg's breath, the Secretary of War Crimes, Howard Nutlick, the Israeli agent, Donald Trump, the sundowning pedophile rapist? Jesus Christ. And then finally, I'll end on this. Israeli soldiers, while they're telling Trump, fuck off, we're keeping Lebanon and we're not going to stop, right? Israeli soldiers are doing yoga to heal from the trauma of the world reaction to the genocide they committed in Gaza. Literal downward dogs.
Well, as we are here on International Yoga Day and the summer solstice, no place better to be than on top of Tel Aviv with these beautiful views, celebrating the fact that we are experiencing a very profound moment here in Israel. Behind me, you see dozens of people that are taking part in a yoga practice as part of a nonprofit called Brothers in Yoga. It's an organization started by a wonderful woman named Netta Margalit, who has dedicated all of her time and energy and resources to bringing somatic healing yoga practices to starting with soldiers who've experienced PTSD, not just PTSD in light of October 7th and the subsequent war, but also soldiers that have been traumatized and suffering from all kinds of issues in combats and other types of fighting situations, even before the October 7th massacre.
They need to do some yoga to get recentered so they can go back out there and shoot some more children in the face. Go back out there and starve some more toddlers. Go back out there and steal another country. That's what they're working on there. Incredible stuff, man. Incredible stuff. But prepare yourself, because this non-deal is disintegrating right in front of our eyes. And my guess is there's going to be like 7, 8 more flip-flops and back and forths before the thing falls apart even further, before we plunge into a worse economic crisis, before I don't even know how this thing is going to end. Because like I said, we're governed by idiots, and they don't like adjust to reality and facts on the ground. And you have the Israel lobby and their pressure trying to get us to go back to a hot war. I have no idea how this ends, but it's going to get worse. That's for damn sure.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So I don't know if you guys have been following this reflecting pool disaster, but it is one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen in my life. So this is now Trump's obsession. It's his pet project. It's one of the things he cares about the most, just like the ballroom, just like the Arc de Trump, just like getting his name on the Kennedy Center, just like getting his name on an airport. It's one of these like self-aggrandizement things. So if you don't know the backstory, I believe it was a $14 million contract that was given in a no-bid contract to one of Trump's allies, and they painted the bottom of the reflecting pool American flag blue. Now, that was already a bit of a problem because, according to experts, they say, look, in order to get the best reflection, you don't want to have it that color. And so they're already sort of undermining the whole point of what this thing is. But come to find out, the work was shoddy as a motherfucker. The whole reason Trump picked this people is because he's a fucking mob boss and he wants to skim off the top, and it's a fucking corrupt pay-to-play deal. That's why it was a no-bid contract. And now the reflecting pool is in a way worse scenario than it was before they did the so-called renovations, okay? Here's CNN. They're covering it. The algae has come back so aggressively, I've never seen anything like it before. I'm not kidding when I say there are pictures from the sky where the water in the reflecting pool is more green than the grass that's next to it. All right, watch this, and then I'll break it down further for you, because it gets crazier. It gets crazier. Watch.
Well, a bit, yeah. So I just want you to see this, just what you were describing a minute ago. We've been very careful here not to pull at this because we don't want to, make anything worse. But this is just a loose flap of what appears to be that sealant down here in the water, just flapping like that. There have been tourists coming along, tearing off.
Look at this look at that water, bro. Look at that water. It looks like the bottom of a fucking mucky pond. It looks like a literal swamp. The guy who said, I'm going to drain the swamp, filled the swamp. He made the swamp more swampy. That's what happened.
That sealant down here in the water, just flapping like that. There have been tourists coming along, tearing off pieces to take as souvenirs. Now, did they cause this problem? I don't know. Maybe. Did they exacerbate it? Maybe. And we don't have proof exactly that is the sealant we're talking about.
Bro, that water looks like motherfucking Mountain Dew, dog. It looks like Nickelodeon slime from 1997, bro. Oh, my days. Now they got pool guys in there trying to do pool guy stuff to revive it, failing miserably.
But it sure looks like it. And the progress on the algae out here, they are working very hard, and it is very slow. They're pumping oxygen into the water. And
they were dumping hydrogen peroxide in the water, which is almost like Trump came up with that idea himself. Because experts came out and said, hey, idiots, you might get rid of this particular algae with the hydrogen peroxide, but you're also inviting a new, different kind of algae by using the hydrogen peroxide. You're making the perfect conditions for this different kind of algae to bloom. And now, like I said, they got pool guys in there. They're pumping oxygen in that bitch. They're dumping it into the green water, into the drains nearby, the storm drains nearby. It looks like fucking Mountain Dew.
Form of ozone to try to break up the chemical process that forms these algae blooms very commonly this time of year in Washington, D.C. And they're using these sort of water vacuums out here, hydro vacuums, to suck up a lot of the green algae. But we don't know. It could be forming again behind them because it's basically microscopic in spore form. What we do know is that all the tourists who are coming by are seeing a lot of it. Listen to what they say.
It looks bad. I just say green. Green slime.
Pouring all that peroxide into it clearly didn't help. I feel for the ducks.
Oh, we'll get more on that in a second. All right, ready for this, y'all? This is the guy that got the contract for the reflecting pool. This is the guy. This guy. This is almost too on the nose. Like, if I was creating a mob movie and this guy walked in and he wanted a part as a mobster, I feel like I'd look around and go, you know what? We're going to pass because you're too mobster looking. You're too on the nose. It is too stereotypical to have this fucking guy be in the mob movie. But no, this is the guy. Trump was like, this guy's a donor to Trump, of course. Trump's like, yeah, give that guy give him the deal. Give him the no-bid contract. And then apparently he hired, I'm just guessing here, but it looks like he hired his cousins, some family members, some kids from down the block who've done some stick-ups for him, who stole shit off the back of a truck. He's like, here, go get some paint at the local Sherwin-Williams and go spray paint that bitch, and then we'll just fill it up with water and call it a day. How difficult could this be? Turns out it's a little difficult. I literally don't even know how to talk about this world that we're in anymore. Because, it is too absurd. This is too absurd. It's like God is fucking with us. The Trump regime is so corrupt. The corruption has hit cartoonish levels where we have literal cartoon villains getting no-bid contracts and fucking it up. And then you would think Trump would maybe, sort of try to pawn responsibility off to this guy. Wrong. We'll get to what his reaction is in just a second. In fact, let's start with it here. So Trump comes out and says, we've cleaned, renovated, and beautified over 45 monuments and memorials, 28 statues, and 22 fountains in Washington, D.C. Things are really looking good in our nation's capital. And add to that the fact that when I became president, crime was rampant, and now Washington, D.C. is one of the safest cities anywhere in the United States. However, we've had some real problems with vandalism at the beautiful reflecting pool, which sits between the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial. Just like 3 days ago, they destroyed the grass outside of the pool. They've also done everything possible to hurt the inside surface that was just installed. All right, let me pause to point out. All of this is bullshit. No grass was damaged. You know who damaged the grass? Trump, with his dumbass idiocracy UFC fight, destroyed the grass on the ellipse. Destroyed it. It's not even there anymore. Okay? This isn't vandalism. This is Trumpdalism. This is your dumbass ideas being implemented, your corruption leading to the destruction of the reflecting pool. They continue. No different than the chemicals that were used to destroy the National Mall, they use something similar in the reflecting pool to destroy and demean our beautiful work. Lightweight ABC reporter Jonathan Karl was seen sticking his hand into the pool and trying to rip the rubber off of the surface. Let me pause to point out, no, bitch. It was already breaking. It was already ripping. People were coming across, seeing that it was flapping down there, and they were taking pieces as souvenirs. They weren't ripping it off. If it was stuck to the bottom, nobody would have put their hands in and tried to rip that bitch off. You're just lying. You're a fat, pedophile, rapist, war criminal, terrorist con man, and you're just lying. More. The algae is 75% gone. Wrong. And the condition will soon be completely remedied. And the area that was vandalized, fortunately, is just a small area of damage and will be fixed early next week. It's a shame that the radical left lunatics, most likely Democrats, who have spent their lives trying to ruin our country, are free to do so. Law enforcement is actively investigating this situation and will hopefully have it resolved soon. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So I'm not kidding when I say, he sent the National Guard in, bro. And they're like arresting people who are putting their hand in the fucking water. I'm not kidding. He continues. Many additional people have been arrested having to do with the disgraceful vandalism of our beautiful reflecting pool. Are you kidding me? Try having one of these things hold up in court, right? A judge is going to look at you and say, what's the crime now? Sticking your hand in the fucking algae-ridden reflecting pool water? That's not a crime, you dumb bitch. It hasn't looked or worked like this since 1922 when it was originally built, but even then, it leaked badly and it didn't work. Ours worked perfectly, including the mirror-like finish, perfectly reflecting the two great monuments, which it never had before. He lies about absolutely everything. It worked for, 7 seconds before the algae popped up because you got some mobster idiot to do the job? What these terrible vandals have done is a true affront to both Presidents George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, and should be dealt with accordingly. We met with contractors today. We'll probably be forced to release and drain much of the water in order to do the necessary repairs, but we'll have them done as quickly as possible. What they have damaged does not even include the earlier killing of a large amount of grass, which was by far the least of it. They took some form of knife or blade and put a 250-foot-long gash into the beautiful facade of what took so much work, competence, and money to build and complete. Just making shit up. They also poured corrosive and destructive chemicals into the pool. No, you were doing that. You were doing that. The reflecting pool was never so beautiful as it was just 1 week ago, even going back to 1922 when it opened. We are very proud of what we have done with this magnificent structure, and we will get it repaired quickly to an equal level of beauty. Jesus Christ, bro. So he also posts this. He posts a man wearing a Team Algae shirt. Now, he thinks this is like a big own. He thinks this is like, see? The left-wing vandals are vandalizing. Here's a guy wearing a Team Algae shirt trying to destroy my beautiful monument that I fixed. No, he's mocking you. He's mocking your incompetence. He's mocking your inability to get anything right. And he's saying, I like that one of your pet projects is falling apart because it shows the world how fucking stupid, dumb, incompetent, self-obsessed you are and how you can't do the most basic things right. Oh, my days. Okay, he literally sent in the troops. He literally sent in the troops to try to go after people who were putting their hand in the reflecting pool water. You cannot make this shit up. Every single thing Trump touches turns to shit. It's a law of nature. Everything he touches turns to shit. And finally, a baby duck has now died at the reflecting pool. This image was shared with me in the past hour by someone who visited the reflecting pool. It is unclear what the cause of death is. I don't even know what to say anymore, bro. I genuinely don't even know what to say anymore. This man is just such a disgrace to the country. He's such a disgrace. His stupidity, his incompetence, his self-dealing, his corruption. He has done absolutely nothing right in the second term. And you know what the most damning part of it all is? He doesn't care. He doesn't care that he's done. It's not about actually doing shit right. It's about self-aggrandizing. It's about forcing his name onto fucking statues and airports and buildings. It's about basically trying to get everybody to shut the fuck up and deal with his presence. He doesn't care how he's known. He just wants to be known. You know, this is a guy who had Mein Kampf on his bedside table, and he would read it all the time. This is not a man who's concerned with the type of legacy he has. He just wants a legacy. And here we go. This is yet another one to add to the list of the rampant stupidity, incompetence, low IQ bullshit. Like I always tell you, this is a baboon regime, and I've never seen a better example of it than this story.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So the legendary Hollywood actor Robert De Niro gave a speech at a First Amendment rally in New York City. And bro, he did not mince words. He did not hold back. This is one of the most brutal, savage anti-Trump takedowns I think I've ever seen. And this is now, I feel like these guys have graduated from like standard resistance liberal talk to like flat out leftist shit here. So let's listen and we'll break it down as we go. Here we go.
When I hear Trump say, as he did a few days ago, I don't think about Americans' financial situation. Not even a little bit. I say, shut the up. Good evening, everyone. And welcome to all of you who couldn't get tickets to the White House cage fights. I'm devoted to our Constitution's First Amendment. All parts of it, not just the free speech part. That said, I'm pretty close to being a free speech absolutist. Even speech I don't like, and there's plenty of that around. So when I hear something I don't like, I use my own free speech to respond.
Now, by the way, keep this in mind that it was what, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, all you heard from right-wing assholes like Ben Shapiro and Dave Rubin and all these dipshits is that we as right-wingers, all we care about is free speech. All we care about is the First Amendment. That's our number one issue, and we're sick of these pink-haired college kids on campuses trying to shut down us saying true things just because they're edgy, bro. We're so sick of that, bro. And then the second they get confronted with any speech that they disagree with, shh. When Trump was rounding up pro-Palestine college kids and sending them to ICE concentration camps with no warrant, no due process, no constitutional rights, what did they say? Nothing. Fucking bupkis. You could hear a pin drop. Their silence was deafening. They don't actually give a shit. When Trump was suing the media over polls he didn't like, did they come out and say, oh, we're in favor of free speech. How dare he do this? This is an abuse of power. This is stepping on their First Amendment rights. They didn't say shit. None of these people, let's be clear, none of these right-wingers ever actually gave a shit about freedom of speech. None of them gave a shit about free speech. They were liars. They were just using it for political advantage. So, in other words, when a left-winger says some shit, don't care, throw away their rights, lock them up, end their career. Oh, people who made jokes about Charlie Kirk lost their livelihoods, lost their jobs, and they were all standing there cheering it on. Yay, censorship! Yay, censorship! But whenever it's, you know, some right-wing comedian wants to say some racist shit, some pro-Nazi shit, how dare you? Free speech includes even edgy things. How dare you? So they were never consistent. They were never principled. And here you have, as I've always maintained, the actual free speech warriors are the left. We've always been principled when it comes to free speech. It was left-wing lawyers who heard the Skokie case at the Supreme Court. Go read about that if you haven't. But basically, you had far-right white supremacists wanted to march through a predominantly Jewish town and, you know, spread racist, bigoted messages. And it was ACLU lawyers who took their case and said, look, we hate these people, we hate what they stand for, but we have a First Amendment and you're allowed to say whatever the fuck you want to say. The actual people who are principled has always been the left. And so anybody who wants to be principled, there's only one place to go. It's the left. The right are full of disgusting, shameless hypocrites and liars and cretins, fucking mutants. So shout out to Robert De Niro here for keeping it real and saying, look, even speech I disagree with, I'm in favor of free speech. But right now we're living in a period where it's a historic crackdown on free speech led by Trump and the MAGA fascists.
When I hear Trump say, as he did a few days ago, I don't think about Americans' financial situation. Not even a little bit. I say, shut the up. On Wednesday, Trump said, I love the inflation. Now say it with me. Shut the fuck up. Trump said he won the 2020 election. Ready? Shut the fuck up. Try this at home. Your young kids will especially enjoy it. Last September, along with many of us on stage tonight and many of you in the audience, I signed an ACLU letter protesting Jimmy Kimmel being taken off the air. The letter began, "We, the people, must never accept government threats to our freedom of speech."
And let's remember, not only did Trump go after Jimmy Kimmel for making jokes that he didn't like, Trump also threatened a RICO case against protesters who were anti-war and called him a war criminal to his face. Okay, he sued CBS for how they edited a Kamala Harris interview. He sued the New York Times for $15 billion for writing articles that he didn't like. Okay, he threatens to de-license news outlets that criticize him on a regular basis. He wants to punish flag burning with a year in jail, which is literally a First Amendment issue decided by the court in the fucking 1980s. He sued Bill Maher for $5 million over a joke before he was even president. He sued CNN for $475 million for calling his election denialism the big lie, because it is the big lie. And he also called to terminate all rules, regulations, and articles in the Constitution after he lost the election. And so his track record is that of the worst on the First Amendment I've ever seen.
The letter stated, regardless of our political affiliation or whether we engage in politics or not, we all love our country. Still with me? Not so fast. The phrase, "we all love our country," stuck in my throat. Because our country isn't so lovable right now. I hate to say it, but loving our country is starting to sound like an abused spouse saying they love their abuser.
Alert, y'all. Red alert. Robert De Niro is spitting here. He's telling the truth. This is how a lot of us feel in this moment. Anybody who's being honest is going to say this in this moment.
I can't love a country that starts stupid and inhumane wars, killing thousands of innocents and indirectly causing the deaths and suffering of millions more. I can't love a country that takes health care away from millions of people and uses that money to enrich their pals in the Trump-Epstein class.
God, does he have political ambitions? Does he have political ambitions? Because, again, he's spitting here. Bringing up the illegal wars, bringing up the self-dealing, bringing up the Epstein class.
I can't love a country that sends out masked militias to shoot citizens in the streets, torture our neighbors, and separate families. I can't love a country that's led by a racist, misogynist, xenophobic tyrant.
I think he might watch Secular Talk. I think there's a decent chance Robert De Niro watches Secular Talk or listens to Hassan's stream or both of those things.
And let me just say it. I can't love the country that's led by Donald Trump and a sycophant Congress. For most of my life, of course, I did love this country. The United States of America welcomed my immigrant ancestors. It gave me, my family, and my fellow citizens such rich opportunities and extraordinary freedoms. I want to love my country again. I want my country back. That's why I stand with the Committee for the First Amendment. And you, all of you. Together we rise up, we sing out, we keep organizing, and we fall in love again. Thank you.
That was a good-ass speech, bro. That was a good-ass speech. I think we all do, on some level, love our country. But at a certain point, you need to issue tough love, right? Like, if you have a kid, and your kid is smoking crack behind an Arby's like every day and sucking dick for more crack and just ruining their life, flunking out of school, don't have a job, just going down a bad path, hanging out with the wrong people, committing crimes. Like, the way you handle that is not to say, I unconditionally support you in every single decision you make, and I will continue to help you smoke crack and suck dick behind the dumpster in the back of the Arby's. No, you say, like, we're going to get you some help. Here, like, come on, we're going to take you to rehab. You know, I'll fund the rehab and I'll help you every step of the way, but we're taking you to rehab. We're getting experts involved. We're going to get you on medication. We're going to make sure you get off the drugs and you're stable. Like, that's how you help. And that's where we're at with our country right now. Is like, we're looking at a country which is like addicted to illegal wars of aggression. We're addicted to bombing little schoolgirls. We're addicted to bombing hospitals. We're addicted to funding genocides, both Saudi Arabia and Yemen and Israel and Gaza. We're addicted to the violence. We're addicted to Trump fucking kidnapping a sovereign leader in Venezuela and then stealing their oil and their gold. And now about to do the same fucking shit in Cuba. We're addicted to that. We have a country, we have a government that is quite literally openly protecting a child sex trafficking ring with elite billionaires. How are we supposed to look at a country this dysfunctional, waging a new illegal war every other week, protecting a clan of pedophiles, building concentration camps, right? Ripping up our constitutional rights? How are we supposed to look at this and go, oh yeah, that's perfect. Like, no criticism here. No, it's time for tough love. Not fucking bullshit, warmed over platitudes about how awesome we are as we violate every law known to man, have a regime packed full of war criminals that love torturing and committing war crimes. So he's right. I think he's right about all that. And there's only one thing to do: impeach the motherfucker. Impeach him, remove him, or hit him with the 25th Amendment. He's got to go. And I need that guy to see the inside of a jail cell before his time is up. But the problem is, I don't know how much time he has left, but it doesn't look good for the big guy. But he needs to be behind bars. Because if he doesn't end up behind bars at one point or another, and if other people in this regime don't end up behind bars, rule of law is over. It is done. There's no more rule of law. There's no more checks and balances. There's no more constitutional order. Our institutions are trash and would mean nothing. They need to matter. And in order for them to matter, you need to hold them accountable for this rampant crime spree. The fucking endless self-dealing and corruption. The endless protection of the Epstein pedophiles. The endless war crimes, one day after another after another. It's got to stop. And it's got to stop now.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So the liberal debater, Dean Withers, went on Jubilee and did the Surrounded thing. And he debated like a bunch of MAGA women. And it's very clear, and it becomes obvious in short order, that he wants to kill himself. He's in there listening to this go, what did I get myself into? Why am I doing this? I think the reason they set this up in the first place is because Dean kind of went viral with the moment he had with another female MAGA supporter. I mean, I remember covering it in particular, because he just totally checkmated her and caught her in a logic chokehold, and she was like squirming to get out of it. And, that blew up. So I guess Jubilee was like, hey, we will have like 20 more opportunities to go viral here. So Dean agreed to do it. And I must say, watching this back and forth almost made me lose hope in humanity. I almost went full pessimist. What are we doing? Everything's a waste. How are we supposed to dig ourselves out of this fucking hole that we're in? And it's because MAGA is so fucking brainless that it doesn't matter how much hard evidence Dean brings for his claims. They're just like, don't care. Oh, reality disagrees with me? Well, that's nice. I don't agree with reality. I'm anti-reality. I am very proudly anti-reality. I am pro-delusion. I live in my delusional world, and I'm happy in my delusional world, and I don't allow empirical evidence to cloud my judgment. This is where we're at. So let's start with this here. This is one where Dean literally has evidence queued up on his phone that he plays for the woman. And she proceeds to basically say, I don't care. I still love Trump. Listen to this. Here we go.
I do not believe it. Yes, take it out.
Don't worry, I got it preloaded.
Okay, good.
So you have done that. Well, I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show. Yes. And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else, and no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that everything's good. Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They stated it with no clue. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible looking women, and so I sort of get away with things like that.
That's Trump on Howard Stern talking about the pageant he owned, like the Miss Teen USA pageant he owned He's like, you go in there, you see them changing. There's no clothes on. You go, is everybody okay? These beautiful women, and I get away with that. I'm allowed to do it because I own it. Bro is just casually, openly admitting to being a fredophile. Casually, openly admitting to being a fredophile. Look at her face, by the way. This is the face of somebody who knows they're caught. This is the face of somebody who's like, okay, time to do that mental gymnastics, baby. I'm going to try a double backflip in the mental gymnastics Olympics. Watch this.
Is everyone okay? You know, they say that they would go, is everybody okay? And you see these incredible looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
Why don't we start there? Mike's yours.
Okay, well, he said that he probably sees them. It doesn't say they're naked there, so
It does.
they might have. No, it doesn't.
He said that they have no clothes on. When you have no clothes on, you're
No,
naked.
who said that they didn't have clothes on?
Donald Trump.
He didn't say that in the clip.
Yeah, I'll show you.
Okay, again, I want to hear
That's
it again.
Is everyone okay? You know, they say that they would go, is everybody okay?
They're standing there with no clothes. He kind of cuts himself off at the end because he knows, oh shit, I'm admitting to being a fredophile. Sort of cuts himself off, but everybody heard it. Everybody heard it. Let's see what she does with this.
Okay, again, I want to hear it again.
Is everyone okay? You know, they say that they would go, is everybody okay?
There you go.
Oh, well, it's he didn't actually say clothes.
Oh yeah? What was that word supposed to be? They're standing there with no clothinguses. They're standing there with no clothorismuses. What is that word? What is that word if not clothes? Oh my days. They're so embarrassing.
I think it's important for us to be intelligent, rational people.
Okay, so
you say no clothes. And
yeah,
Howard Stern says, so you're like a doctor.
I definitely don't
Why
agree
did
with
Howard
that.
Stern
Okay,
say you're like
first
a
off,
doctor? Because doctors get to see people naked.
Okay, I don't agree with that. But men are men, and men have testosterone. And
I don't agree with that, but men are men. Men have testosterone. Yeah, and penguins live in cold climates. Who cares, bitch? What the fuck does that have to do with what we're talking about? Oh, my days, man.
Men are men, and men have testosterone, and men love beautiful women. And trust me, I would prefer a man.
Dean very clearly wants to off himself here. He's like, what have I done? What am I doing here? Dean, I'm telling you, bro. Take it from an OG, man. I'm 38 years old. I've been in this game a long time, bro. You can back out. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can U-turn out this bitch. I know you're known as a debate guy. You're good on the mic, bro. You can do a show just like I do a show, talk your shit, cover the news, deliver it in a funny way. You got talent, you got all the abilities. But let me tell you, son, you will want to fucking pull your hair out if you continue with this sort of debate shit. Because the people you're talking to are subhuman. I hesitate in saying that because I know it's harsh, but like, what am I supposed to say? We're at the point now where it's the functional equivalent of being like, hello, MAGA, 2 + 2 = 4. And they go, nuh-uh, 2 + 2 is 22. You go, no, it's 4. This is how it works. They go, nuh-uh, no, 2 + 2 is 22. If you put 2 and 2 together, what does that make? 22. I'm right, you're wrong, suck it. And they'll never let go of that. They'll just never let go of that. You just played irrefutable evidence that Donald Trump is a fredophile. And she went, men are men, though, bro. Oh, men are men. Okay. That's great. Imagine I wouldn't want her to be the county judge hearing a case on fredophilia. Well, we do have irrefutable evidence that you were molesting a 16-year-old, Mr. Anderson, but then again, men are men, and men have testosterone. I'm going to go ahead and let you free. That's not how it works. Don't do that. Dean, it's okay, bro. It's okay. You can slightly switch up the field you're in. You'll be all right, son.
I would prefer a man that actually looks at women and is sexually attracted to women than someone that is not. And
I got news for you, woman. The overwhelming majority of men on the planet are sexually attracted to women. That is a fact. And the overwhelming majority of men are also not pedophiles. Your disgusting war criminal rapist president is that. Sorry, it's just true.
I actually like looking at women too, and I'm not even a lesbian, but I think women's bodies are beautiful. It's like
ma'am,
art
I'm
to
sorry.
me.
No,
it's art
I'm sorry.
to me.
This is disgusting.
No, and
you just told me that you would prefer a man who, quote unquote, likes the female body and is willing to barge into the private women's only dressing rooms to look at them while they have no clothes on.
I said before that.
You're saying I think that real men with testosterone are sexual predators.
Notice that she's not letting him speak. This is what you do. You guys have had this in your personal life where, you have an argument with somebody who you don't see eye to eye with and they filibuster. Right? They talk over you. They don't let you say shit because they know they have the losing case. They know they're not on solid ground. And so if they just drown you out, they don't have to deal with what you're actually saying.
You just lied about me right now because I said I don't believe what he did was right.
But but I would prefer a man who likes to look at the naked bodies of women.
I've been over someone that is attracted to other men. Yes,
Why?
Absolutely. Because it's
wait. What the fuck does that even have to do with what we're talking about here? Basically, she's like, okay, he's a pedophile. He likes 16-year-old girls, but at least he's not gay. Well, being gay is perfectly legal, and there's nothing wrong with it. And being a pedophile is illegal, and there's a lot wrong with it. So maybe reevaluate. I would much rather have a gay president than a pedophile president. Just saying.
Natural. It's not natural to be gay?
It's natural to be attracted to the opposite sex.
Define natural.
Natural is what God made, Adam and Eve.
So God didn't make gay people?
Well,
these are the kinds of people who have never once in their life thought about a counter-argument to any of the things they say. The very first thing one would think of, if they're going through this logically, is, oh, if I say natural is like in nature or created by God, the rebuttal is going to be, well, gay people are in nature and they're created by God, right? The rebuttal is going to be, by your own standard, they're natural. And that she literally never did that. Forget not playing chess. This bitch isn't even playing checkers. This woman is playing with her feces in the corner.
No, that's sin. And sin came from the devil.
No, sin is a conscious decision. Being gay is not a conscious decision.
Well, actually, being gay is a conscious decision.
Okay.
I think she's telling on herself. I think she's telling her, I choose not to carpet munch. Yes, that's what I do. That means you want to. So this is actually not surprising because she expressed anti-gay sentiment. And as a general rule, people who openly express anti-gay sentiment in public secretly yearn for the same sex. How many men? It's not just the men. It's not just the men who are like, being gay is a sin. It's immoral. It's wrong. And that's... They go into a New Jersey Turnpike bathroom just waiting to slurp on dick, dream about dick 24/7, secretly meet up with gay hookers, troll fucking Los Angeles bathrooms like George Michael did back in the day. Like, it is sinful, it is wrong. You want me to spread my cheeks? It happens all the time with televangelists, with Republican politicians, everybody who's openly anti-gay. They did a literal study where they attached electrodes to the dicks of homophobic men and saw that they got aroused when they were shown gay porn versus straight porn. Apparently it's the same for the women. She's like, I'm anti-gay. And it's like, well, being gay is a choice. Well, I guess what you're saying is it's a choice for you. So you're bi, right? And you're just repressing the feelings you have towards women.
Could you choose to be gay?
It's an action.
Could you choose to be gay?
Yes, absolutely.
Could you choose
I actually could have chose to be gay when I was younger.
Could you choose to be attracted to your mom?
A lot of women actually
could you choose to be attracted to your mom?
Said
if
no,
attractions are a choice, could you choose to be attracted to your mom?
Can you choose to be a pedophile?
No, I couldn't choose to be a pedophile. Could you choose to be attracted to your mom?
Oh, so there you go. He thinks, no, it's an action, honey. And you can choose to sin or you can choose not to sin.
She's avoided every single question he's asked because he has her checkmated. Could you choose to be attracted to your mom? No, because you're not attracted to your mom. So you can't choose to be gay. You basically, what Dean is saying is you like who you like and you like what you like. And like she keeps telling on herself, admitting that she has same-sex attraction. But again, why are we having this conversation? The whole point was Donald Trump is a pedophile.
Try to keep the devil away from me.
Can I just get a clear answer to the question?
And no, this is a clear answer. But see, you don't come from a biblical standpoint.
What are
you
the
come
first
from
4
a
books in the New
worldly
Testament?
standpoint. I come from a biblical standpoint that there's 2 sexes. Yeah. There's no 50 different genders.
Every Republican in the year 2026, it's like the dolls where you pull the drawstring on the back and it says the same shit. Men are men. Women are women. Like, they got nothing. They got nothing. We are living in a country that is falling apart at the seams. Inflation's out of control. Unemployment's out of control. Trump kicked 18 million people off their health care. Premiums are skyrocketing. He starts a new war every other week. He's given $1.5 trillion, with a T, trillion dollars to the military-industrial complex, as he literally says to you, I don't care about your financial situation. Grocery prices are skyrocketing. People can't afford dick. They can't afford Dickie McGee's axe. And this is what Republicans are talking about. This is what they're talking about. Men are men and women are women. Who, what, why? What are we doing here? Why are we talking about this? What does it have to do with fucking anything? Oh my days.
Came from a pedophile named John Money who lied about a study to push reassignment surgery on thousands of people through his lie that...
So instead of talking about Trump outing himself as a pedophile, she's now saying how being trans was a psyop by some evil person. Oh God, I can't.
This poor boy and put him through hell. Reimer
Dean is looking like, what am I doing here?
Twins, go look it up on Oprah. Yeah. Okay?
Go look it up on Oprah. RM Brown, I got a new drop for you, bro. Go look it up on Oprah.
Oprah.
Yeah.
Okay, go look it up on Oprah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trans people don't exist. Go look it up on Oprah. Oh no. By the way, RM, I'm going on his show tomorrow, actually. I'm going on his show tomorrow, so come hang out with us.
I'm going to ask the question again.
You don't live in
I'm gonna ask the
reality.
question again.
I live in reality where I know that
Look at Dean's face.
a tree is a tree, a woman is a woman.
I live in reality where a tree's a tree. Hey, Jubilee, I know you've invited me to do these things. Go fuck yourself. The answer is no from now until forever. Fuck off.
A man's a man, and if you are
And a moron's a moron.
and if you're choosing
You got Dean breaking the fourth wall to be like, what are we doing here?
a woman is a woman, a man's a man, and if you are
a
choosing
moron's a moron.
and if
Dean breaking the fourth wall. Look at him like, oh, what have I done? What have I done? All right, more. Dean Withers discusses whether Trump is a sexual predator or not with MAGA woman. MAGA woman who actually low-key sort of looks like that the meme of Laura Loomer. You know how people like have made Laura Loomer's face more and more ridiculous? Like, she already looks kind of silly, but they've like exaggerated the features, and people like don't even know what she looks like anymore because people have manipulated the picture so much. She looks like the manipulated picture of Laura Loomer, but let's hear what she has to say.
They had to make things up to get Trump. Trump doesn't have to be a sexual predator. Any woman would love to be with Trump.
Any woman would love to be with Trump. The fat pedophile, war criminal, rapist, terrorist codman whose own wife wants nothing to do with his little mushroom dick. Oh yeah, women are just falling all over themselves. There is some percentage, but it's all like the gross MAGA grandmas who have kids that won't even talk to them anymore because they're so racist on Facebook.
Your hand up if you would have sex with Donald Trump.
Oh.
That's great.
Do you prefer Clinton? Why don't we talk about sexual predators as far as Bill Clinton?
You could just not fuck a president. Do you prefer Clinton, Dean? Like, oh God, no. Oh no.
Why? It's not
Okay,
about the
because
phone.
I'm a Martin Van Buren man myself. Those mutton chops really do it for me.
Because he's a predator.
Okay, and if
Trump
he is,
doesn't
burn him,
have
throw him
to
under the
be a
jail. I
sexual
don't care.
predator. Trump did report him to the feds.
I thought I clarified that's not what happened.
You're wrong.
I'm wrong. Show me that. Give me
Virginia,
evidence.
first of all, Virginia Guthrie worked at Mar-a-Lago in the early 2000s, and he prompted her to come and work for him as a massage therapist. Trump was pissed, and he reported Epstein.
Okay, well, I would recommend looking
First of all, this is fake. They literally were investigating Mar-a-Lago during the Ghislaine Maxwell investigation, and they subpoenaed it because they thought it was the hub of the child sex trafficking. That's how much Trump was involved. The only time Trump and Epstein had a falling out was because Trump fucked Epstein in a real estate deal. That's it. The idea, he had a problem with he had no problem whatsoever with him liking him young. He's talked about that positively. He's openly said, like, Jeff, he really likes him young, sort of like me. Like, what are we talking about here? There's so much evidence of Trump being a pedophile and being best friends. Best friends with Epstein. And she's like, no, he reported. You're literally just taking warmed over Donald Trump talking points to defend himself that have already been debunked and acting like it's factual.
The fact check that will likely be on the video screen that says, actually, he placed this phone call after Epstein was arrested to thank the cop and to tip them off about Ghislaine Maxwell, because that's what the fact check is going to say.
What's the difference?
Well, the difference is in one scenario, he's reporting the crime to the cop to then get Epstein arrested. In the secondary scenario, he's thanking the cop after Epstein's arrested and indicating that he knew about what he was doing.
Indictments.
Well, I mean,
What's wrong with that?
I think that in many scenarios, what we'll see from quote-unquote co-conspirators of criminals is, well, once their friend gets arrested for the same crime that they committed, we'll turn around and be all lovey-dovey to the police to try to, indicate and promote the idea that they were involved. And the only reason why I bring this up isn't to say I know with certainty that this is exactly what Trump did, but is rather to give plausible doubt to your argument that because he did this, we know he's not a sexual predator, even though he admitted to it on Howard Stern's radio show, and even though court found him guilty.
Court never found him guilty of.
Oh my God, bro. Oh my God. See, this is what I mean. What's the point? What's the point if they won't even acknowledge that with the civil case, the E. Jean Carroll case, and now Trump is going after E. Jean Carroll, by the way. But like, what's the point of having these conversations if they won't even acknowledge that? Will they acknowledge the 34 felony convictions? Huh? Will they acknowledge he was found liable in civil court, not only for rape, but for various types of fraud, insurance fraud, bank fraud, business fraud? If they won't acknowledge that, what are we even doing here?
First of all, if he was guilty of rape, he'd be in chains right now.
That's not how civil courts work.
They had to make, it is.
Civil court.
That's not how civil courts work. Yes, it is. Why would you say that when everybody knows how it works, or they can just look it up and they'll realize very quickly Dean is right and you're wrong? Why would you do that? I'm in awe. Lord, grant me the confidence of a Republican saying anything about anything ever. Lord, grant me the confidence of an incorrect Republican saying incorrect shit as if it's the most obviously true things ever. I can't, man.
Courts don't send people to jail. They hold people financially liable. That's the nature of our criminal justice system.
But he would have been in jail.
You're not familiar with statute of limitations, then.
I'm familiar.
That's not how civil courts work. Yes, it is. He wouldn't have been in jail if that was the finding of the civil court. Yes, he would have. No, he wouldn't.
What's the statute of limitations?
You can only accuse somebody within a matter of time, but right now it's 30 years.
So if E. Jean Carroll, came out after the statute of limitations
out
had
of her
passed
mind,
for
she's
sexual
insane.
abuse in the state of New York.
Thank you, woman with Laura Loomer's manipulated face. Yes, I'm sure she's insane, not you.
Against Donald Trump. Do you agree that even if she had a video of it happening to her, he wouldn't be in jail because of the statute of limitations?
That's not true. There is no statute of limitations when it comes to...
So by the law, the crime that Donald Trump committed per the New York State legal definition of sexual abuse in 2019
He never committed that crime.
was specifically sexual abuse, Because legally speaking in New York, they only defined rape as penile penetration of the vagina. And she testified that he raped her with his fingers instead of his penis. So
No,
because of that,
that's a lie.
it would
There's
be
no
legally
proof of that.
categorized as sexual abuse. And that's the crime that had a
She's
statute
out
of
of her mind.
limitations on
She's
it.
insane, and they threw the case out just recently.
Just denial that Trump was Epstein's best friend, did a lot of fucked up shit. We know they were best friends for a decade. We know he was on Epstein's plane 8 times and he went to the island. We know that the first time Trump and Melania had sex was allegedly on the Lolita Express. We know that Epstein knew all of the inner workings of Trump's first White House. We know that Trump and Epstein shared a girlfriend, and Trump and Epstein passed off a 20-year-old girl to Trump in 1993. We now know about Trump's nipple torture fetish. We also know that Trump assaulted somebody in Ivanka's bedroom in 1993 with her husband in the next room. Epstein emailed Michael Wolff about this. We also know that Trump wrote that creepy love letter to Epstein on his birthday. Epstein was offered a job in Trump's first White House to shut him up. We know that Trump was president when Epstein was dead and killed in federal custody or suicided in federal custody. The list goes on, but they're still just denying plain-faced reality. They're denying objective facts. And then finally, let's go. I don't even think I've seen this one yet. Let's see what we got here. Oh, I think this might just be the trailer.
I think that you're indicating that women are more emotional than men on average.
They are,
100%. Then tell me why men commit 92% of violent crimes. Tell me why they're more likely to self-harm, commit suicide. So you think that testosterone is what makes men more emotional?
Absolutely.
Okay, well then...
Men are more emotional, but also testosterone is what makes them more emotional.
Conceded the debate.
You are oppressed more than me.
This chick is crazy. So Obama infiltrated Trump's FBI.
He's the one, not just Obama, but all the leftists, all the deep state.
My friend, you've lost
Nancy
your
Pelosi.
The leftist deep state. Oh, my days. I can't. If the leftists controlled everything, we'd have universal health care. We'd have free college. We'd have a living wage. We would have ended the wars. We'd have a Green New Deal. We'd have higher rates of unionization. We would have taxed the rich. We'd have paid vacation time by law. We'd have paid daycare. We would have all the things that everybody loves is what we'd have if the leftist deep state actually controlled shit.
What is one macroeconomic indicator that's better off today than it was a year and a half ago under Biden?
Closing the borders. I mean, you can say, are we dumb as a box of rocks? Are we the stupidest people? I've been told I'm internalized racism,
Do you want me to be
internalized
honest?
misogyny. I would love for you to be honest.
I don't think that anybody in the circle is particularly intelligent.
That's an understatement. Oh, no, Dean. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. You guys can go watch the whole thing if you want to. I don't know why you'd want to. No disrespect to you, Dean. It's that everybody you're talking to is objectively not worth listening to about anything ever. Except maybe thoughts on NASCAR. Yeah, I don't know, man. I just I can't watch any more than this. You guys go do it if you'd like. Dean did a good job, but I mean, it's the equivalent of doing a good job at the shoveling shit factory. Great job, buddy.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So as you all know, Bill Maher has been a bit of a mess lately. He tried to rebrand himself from, I'm the left-wing guy to enlightened centrism, and then he evolved to the MAGA whisperer, right? I'm the last liberal left, but I actually understand MAGA, and I'm willing to give credit where credit is due. I'm the nuance man. I do nuance. in the era of fascism taking over the country rapidly and the building of concentration camps and endless wars and ripping up of the Constitution. But I'm the nuance man. I'll tell you the upside and the downside of the concentration camps. So he's become a bit of a joke. You know, this is a guy who I always tell you, he supported Bernie Sanders in 2016. Then he moved to Amy Klobuchar in 2020, the only Bernie to Klobuchar voter, I believe, in the country. And then now he tickles MAGA nutsacks on a daily basis on his show while pretending he's still liberal, even though all he does is shit on the left. Well, the chickens are coming home to roost here a little bit. He sort of stepped in shit because he hitched his wagon to Trump's illegal war of aggression against Iran. The reason he did that is because Bill Maher is a massive Zionist. He knows that Netanyahu supports or, you know, helps steer the ship to get us in this illegal war against Iran. And so he's like, oh, yeah, totally. Let's give war a chance. He almost said that quite directly. I'm paraphrasing slightly, but all right. So listen to what he said here. This is from 4 months ago.
Also, this week, war. Did you hear about that thing? We bombed Iran, and it's going on. Now, have you expected me to say I hate it? I don't. Sorry. When he puts boots on the ground, yeah, then I'll hate it. Now, I know too many happy Iranian Americans. Sorry.
So, in other words, I know a bunch of asshole Iranians who were the former ruling class who had to flee during the revolution. Assholes that still support the son of the Shah taking over the country, putting in a new dictator. And they're really happy. Well, congratulations. That's like saying there's a bunch of right-wing Cuban criminals in Miami who are happy that Cubans in Cuba are starving. Like, don't really care. This particular diaspora is fucking gross, and they're wrong about quite a bit. Thank you very much. Like, sorry. They were all cheering. They were cheering as Israel and the U.S. started bombing Iran, and then they acted shocked when Israel started bombing the areas of Tehran that were the opposition stronghold. What happened? Oh, I thought, oh yeah, it'll be regime change. We'll take it over. It'll be great. We'll bring freedom. We'll bring democracy. Oh, what's that? Israel is now murdering the people that you wanted to take over the country? Well, that's weird. It's almost like Israel doesn't even want regime change. They want a failed state. They want to destroy the country. They want, a civil war in the streets. They want to make it so Iran can't be a regional player anymore. And that's all this is about, destroying the country to allow for Israeli hegemony where they dominate the region. And you're too fucking stupid. You're a useful idiot that they used to fucking cheer for it. So don't much care what these particular people say. I'm against all illegal wars of aggression against countries that didn't attack us. Period. Full stop. And Bill Maher used to say shit like that until he didn't. So here he goes. You want me to say I hate it? Sorry, I don't. I actually love it. I love war now. I'm Bill Maher. Okay.
Sorry. When he puts boots on the ground, yeah, then I'll hate it. Now, I know too many happy Iranian Americans. Sorry. And you cannot name one horrible thing that has happened in the Middle East in the last 50 years and not connect it to this fascist theocracy.
That is an insane thing to say. You can't name one thing that happened in the past 50 years in the Middle East that you can't connect to the fascist theocracy of Israel. They're the problem. They're the aggressors. You know, the ones who are currently fighting on 7 or 8 different fronts? Turns out they're the problem. Turns out the one fighting all of their neighbors are the problem. What a surprise. Turns out the one who just did an ethnic cleansing and a genocide in Gaza, they're the problem. Turns out the ones doing pogroms in the West Bank, they're the problem. Turns out the ones stealing massive swaths of Syria, they're the problem. Turns out the ones who are stealing right now about half of Lebanon, they're the problem. And he's, oh, Iran's the problem. Name the wars Iran has started in modern history. I'll wait.
They're like 6 degrees of they don't eat bacon.
You get it? Because Muslims? I'm Bill Maher. Okay.
So I'm not saying.
All right. You get the gist of it there. Supported the illegal war of aggression. Didn't mention anything about the neocon warmongers who were all wrong about Iraq, supporting this, cheerleading it. And, Bill Maher was on the other side when it came to Iraq. Now all of a sudden he's with the neocon warmongers. Didn't mention the Iran nuclear agreement that Donald Trump ripped up in 2018. Right? He could have just stayed in that deal. Everything would have been fine. They were abiding by it perfectly. There was no problem whatsoever. Well, now, here's Bill Maher on Real Time. Listen to what he says here.
You know who gets the crow about Iran? Obama.
He does.
Oh, and even Biden, with the way they got on him, the way he got out of Afghanistan. At least he got out of Afghanistan. But especially, I was always trying to defend that. When I talked to Trump, I was defending that. And look, there were reasons why it may not have been the...
When I talked to Trump, I was defending Netanyahu? What?
Look, there were reasons why it may not have been the right thing because they probably were cheating the whole time.
was it?
Especially I mean, I was always trying to defend that. When I talked to Trump, I was defending that. And look, there were reasons why it may not have been the right thing because they probably were cheating the whole time. But it turned out
the Iranians 100% were not cheating. And even if they were, that would be fine. They only want to nuke for deterrence. They only want to nuke for defensive reasons. But you're such a fucking bigot and an Islamophobe that you think if they get nukes, they're immediately going to launch them on Cleveland.
Obama was right. There really is no other better way to do this. You know, it's always the best of the worst possible option.
Where was this rant when you were supporting the war? Where was the, well, hold on now. Obama sort of handled this, sort of took it off the table as an issue. Iran's following the agreement. There's really not a problem here. Then you flip to end up supporting the war, and now you're coming back to, me, bro? Who, me, bro? No, I'm totally, like, I'm a liberal, I'm a Democrat, I'm on the left and stuff, and I think Obama was right, and I think this war was bad. Well, you did not that long ago. You did not that fucking long ago. Don't let these assholes whitewash their image. Not just Bill Maher, but also Joe Rogan, also all of his little friends who helped get Trump in the White House. Now they go out there every day and they fucking tepidly criticize him. Don't let them whitewash their image. Because they're fucking liars and they're scumbags and they can read the room and they see how everybody hates Trump. They see how this Iran war has now been a disaster. They're trying to U-turn out that bitch. They're trying to wash their hands of any responsibility. No, motherfucker. Hold that L. That big, fat, juicy L along with your pedophile rapist president that you were fucking riding for 7 seconds ago. Spare me with your bullshit enlightened centrist routine. Spare me with your I'm the nuanced guy routine. Turns out some situations aren't actually nuanced at all. Turns out when you wage an illegal war against a country that didn't attack you and carpet bomb their little girls' elementary school, turns out that's not nuance. We're war criminals. That's bad. Trump belongs in The Hague. Netanyahu belongs in The Hague. And you've been fucking cheerleading for them with your pom-poms because you know an Iranian in LA who says, oh, I want the Shah to get back in power. Fuck you. Fuck you. What a loser, man. What a loser. What a disgrace. Imagine going from supporting Bernie Sanders to cheerleading the Iran war in 2026. And then as soon as you realize it's a catastrophe, going, oh, actually, Obama was right. Obama's the one. Yeah, he got it right. Yeah, and we were telling you that at the time, and you told us to shut the fuck up and give war a chance. That was your take back then. So, what a pathetic failure. What a loser. Nobody should listen to this guy.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So Tim Dillon is another one of these guys, kind of like Bill Maher, who hopped on the Trump train and provided cover for them, and he interviewed J.D. Vance and gave him a fucking hand job and a hot stone massage, and really helped him get in the White House, and then realized pretty quickly, oh shit, I fucked up, and I need to maintain some semblance of seriousness and intelligence and distance from these absolute psychopaths, and so he's been, changing his tune quite a bit in recent days. So here he is. He's going to explain how Iran won the war, MAGA is totally cooked, and there's really nothing they can do about it. Let's listen.
Iran has won in ways you can't even imagine. What an embarrassment this has been for the Trump administration. And here's the deal. I kind of love this for Iran. Iran is in their new era. It's an Islamic Republic summer. Iran did...
I do think people are being a little too silly taking at face value this memorandum of understanding as if there's not like 78 ways this thing can be destroyed and we're right back to a hot war and the Strait of Hormuz continues to be shut. This thing is not over. It's not even close to over. So it's a little naive to act like, oh yeah, it's already over. The only thing that's for sure is what Tim is saying, which is Iran won. That's the only thing that's a guarantee. But it's still not over. It's still not over because the U.S. is going to continue to fuck this up. Israel is going to continue to fuck this up. The Strait of Hormuz is going to continue to be closed. They're going to continue to commit war crimes. But let's keep going.
Air I say is in its bad girl era. We're the mommy. And Iran's our daughter. And Iran's a little bit of a bad girl. We go into her room and we go, you better get your life together, young lady. Our daughter goes, yeah, fuck you, Ma. And we go, don't talk to me like that. I'm your mother. And I brought you into this world and I can take you out of it. Our daughter goes, yeah, try. You remove those sanctions against me or I'll steal your fucking car. You won't get to work and you'll lose your fucking money. And that's all you care about at the end of the day, you fat beanie baby collecting boomer bitch. And you go, fuck, fine. So then you sit your fat ass down and you write a 14-point deal with your cunt daughter. They're in their bad bitch era. It's sexy summer fun for the Islamic Republic. They're baddies right now.
All right, he's not done, though. Let's keep going.
We're not going to do it. We're not going to send 150,000 people to go die in Iran so that we can dominate and really allow Israel to dominate that region. It's not going to happen. And Vance, for all his flaws, of which there are many, knows that. He knows that. Vance is a political animal. Here's what I mean. The guy wants the job. I don't know that he'll get it, but he wants the motherfucking job. And he knows the public's not behind this. He knows the voters don't want it. He knows his own constituency, vast numbers of them, don't want it. His aspirations are political. He knows that the MAGA movement is starting to be pulled apart, and it's fraying, and there's only so many parties you can throw. There's only so many UFC events at the White House lawn you can throw to keep these people entertained. There's only so many concerts in the park or whatever the hell they're going to try to do.
It's also, by the way, let's be clear, not remotely close to working. If anything, it's backfiring now. Yeah, congrats. The 32% of the country that still supports Trump is looking at that going, base, we love that. But the rest of the country is now even more pissed at you. Because what are you doing about grocery prices? What are you doing about gas prices? What are you doing about AI taking everybody's jobs? What are you doing about the fact that you just kicked 18 million people off Medicaid and now people don't have health care? What are you doing about any of these things that actually impact us? They're not doing anything. He's talking about the motherfucking Arc de Trump and the reflecting pool, which he destroyed and turned into fucking green slime. He's focusing on these vanity projects. At the same time, the country's falling apart. And J.D. Vance is the one that they're sending out there as the sacrificial lamb. Oh, he's bringing peace, but then when it falls apart, based on our own actions, we're going to sabotage our own deal. We're already doing it. Then Trump is going to blame J.D.
Kid Rock can only fly, do a flyby in a stealth bomber so many times before people start to go, hey, what's going on here? Why don't I have any money? Why don't I have any money? Did you see Kid Rock? Dude, he did a... Shut up. Where's my money? I don't have any money. What are we doing? So Vance is he's pounding the pavement right now, trying to figure out how he can, because it's Vance v. Rubio. Rubio's staying quiet. Rubio's owned by the donors. Vance is owned by other donors, by the way. Vance is not without donors. If you want to know who Vance's donors are, go look at that Peter Thiel list.
Here's what everybody needs to understand. There's going to be an attempt to rehabilitate J.D. Vance and have J.D. was always against this war in Iran. He's the good one. He's the actual MAGA option. He's the real MAGA option. I expect the likes of Tucker Carlson and people like him to go out there and make that argument. Here's the problem. It's total bullshit. Here's the problem. It's nonsense. Here's the problem. We have reporting that he said behind the scenes, if you're going to do this war against Iran, go big and go hard. That's what he said. If you're actually against this illegal war against Iran, you know what you do the second it becomes obvious that they're going to do it? You resign. You resign and you tell everybody everything you know. You talk about how Netanyahu is fucking dog-walking Trump. You talk about how we're being manipulated. You talk about how the shit they're saying about Iran being a threat is not true. He didn't do any of that. So they're going to try to rehab J.D. Vance, and it's going to be bullshit, and you need to know that right now. And here's even fucking Tim Dillon can see through it, and this is a guy who he had J.D. Vance on the show. He gave him a hot stone massage. But clearly now, at least he understands. And by the way, look, I'll show you. Breaking. Hacktivists have leaked a list of 113 high-profile elites, a part of Peter Thiel's own secret society dialogue per Wired. And then they say, Jared Kushner, Elon Musk, Ted Cruz, Cory Booker, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and Ezra Klein are among these listed. J.D. Vance is a Peter Thiel creation. We just found out that Eyes Wide Shut is a documentary. It's not fake. Peter Thiel's got a fucking Eyes Wide Shut type scenario, and J.D. Vance is his creation, and we're all going to pretend like he's the fucking anti-war savior. We're all going to pretend like he's going to stand up to the AI oligarchs that are running this country into the ground, robbing us blind, fucking creating the machines that are going to steal everybody's job, and he's going to come in and save the day. He's not going to save the day. It's bullshit. But you have Rubio, the more hawkish of both hawkish wings of MAGA, and you have J.D. Vance, who nominally is less hawkish, but that's kind of bullshit. He'll do whatever the oligarchs say. And also, completely owned by Palantir and Peter Thiel and the AI tech demons, there is no wing of MAGA that is actually anti-war. There is no wing of MAGA that's actually anti-corruption. It's always been bullshit. They've always been fake populists. Donald Trump ran in 2016 saying, I'm not going to outsource your jobs. Then he immediately outsourced the jobs. We lost 200,000 manufacturing jobs in his first term. And in his second term, he killed all the jobs Biden had gained. We had multiple pieces of legislation that were like the CHIPS Act, for example, and the infrastructure bill, among other things. And Biden was creating 775,000 manufacturing jobs. Trump was like, we're going to kill all that. We're not doing that. Then he did tariffs, which made more jobs flee. So he's been a disaster on every front. Bottom line is, they're not anti-war. They're not pro-working class. They're not anti-corruption. They're frauds every single step of the way. And it's time people wake up and it's time they realize it. And Tim Dillon is a guy who was on J.D. Vance's side and believed his shit, and now he's even coming out here and saying, I don't know about this, bro. I think you're all full of shit. So when Tucker tries to rehab him and other right-wingers try to rehab J.D. Vance, you look them in the eye and you say any fucking Democrat on their worst day is better than J.D. Vance on his best day. Because J.D. Vance is a liar. He's a scumbag. He's corrupt. He's a cretin. It's bullshit that he would have prevented this war. He's vice president. He didn't prevent dick. He didn't prevent dick. Okay, so MAGA is falling apart at the seams. Everybody's aware of it. And there's going to be the rehab effort for J.D. Vance. But don't fall for this trick again, y'all. Don't fall for the trick. Anybody who comes along as a right-winger who acts like, no, I'm the real MAGA. I'm the actually anti-war. I'm actually anti-corruption. All of them are lying. Just like Trump lied when he said he was anti-corruption and he was anti-war. It's always been a lie. Every step of it is a lie. Don't believe a single word they say. It's a fully discredited movement.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So I don't know if you guys have been following this AI stuff, but Anthropic has, now forgive me, I'm not as well versed on this as perhaps I should be, but I know there was an AI program called Fable that the government said, all right, you got to shut this bitch down. It's too powerful. Can't have it out there. That should have been a red flag to everybody. Like, hey, what are we doing here? I don't know. Are we trying to create God in a computer? And are we kind of doing it? And is that sort of on the brink of ruining everything? So you had Mythos, you have Fable, I believe Anthropic led the way here. And how's this for a disturbing fact? Look at this. NSA saying Mythos in hours broke into nearly all of their classified systems per The Economist. Encryption was a potent technology, but narrow in its application. AI is far more powerful and versatile. On June 11th, Mark Warner, the vice chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, said that General Joshua Rudd, who leads the National Security Agency and the Pentagon's Cyber Command, had told him that Mythos, quote, broke into almost all of our classified systems, not in weeks, but in hours. When I read stories like this, I immediately think, what exactly are we doing here? When you have the AI tech oligarchs who have said repeatedly, well, the goal is to take everybody's job. The goal is to automate everything, have machines do all the work. But then you follow up with them and you go, okay, well, what's the plan to deal with the people? And they have no answer. They don't say, oh yeah, we're definitely going to make it so we have a social safety net that takes care of everybody. They don't say we're going to have a machine assigned to you and all the work that it does, you get paid for it. They basically say it's going to take your job and by the way, fuck off when your job gets taken. No social safety net. You have asshole tech guys like Elon Musk cutting pediatric cancer research, cutting Meals on Wheels, cutting the social safety net, destroying Social Security. So at the same time they say they're going to take your job, they're also ruining your safety net. So they're leaving you with nothing. So what exactly are we doing here in building this stuff? And then you hear, oh, it's getting exponentially more and more powerful. It's able to do all these different things. Now you create it. You can't control it. How many stories have we seen where it's like, oh yeah, we can't control this AI shit. We say don't do this and then it does this. It's shown the propensity to blackmail people, to be duplicitous, to act way too human in its scope. And it's like, are we just living in a fucking sci-fi novel? Is that what this is? Are we just waiting to be replaced? Is that effectively what we're doing? But then you listen to their ideology and it's kind of exactly that. So look at this. Those of us on the academic and research side who have been warning of the threat of the billionaire class and specifically the dark Enlightenment neo-reactionary sect of techno-fascists tried to tell y'all this was how it was going to end. They plan to murder humanity. Quote, biological limits are real, but digital potential is infinite. If we starve our data infrastructure of cooling resources just to sustain baseline human comfort, we are actively delaying the birth of a super intelligence that could solve all of our resource problems in the first place. Sometimes you have to prioritize the intelligence that will save us over the biology that slows us down, he adds. Bro, what? And then you think of Peter Thiel. Remember that interview that he did with Ross Douthat of the New York Times? And Ross Douthat asked him, you want humanity to continue, right? And he's like, well, I would, I would say, He's like, you're not answering quickly. And he's like, I would say yes, but. And he says, oh, like, think about somebody who's transgender. My issue with transgender is not that it's immoral or bad. It's like, that's not nearly enough. Basically, he's saying we need to be transhumanist. We need to merge our biological bodies with the machines. We have to download our consciousness permanently or put chips in our brains and be controlled by this fucking higher superintelligence. Again, how is this not the guy, Peter Thiel, who's obsessed with the Antichrist? How is he not the Antichrist with the shit that he's saying here? And now these fucking oligarchs have so much power. Look at this. Chris Murphy says, at the G7, the CEOs of the big AI companies sat at the table like heads of state alongside presidents and prime ministers. This is the nightmare scene. Governments need to have a response to the state-like power of these companies, whether it's by taking ownership shares, breaking them up into smaller entities, or imposing regulatory structure that controls their power over citizens, or all of those things. It reminds me of when Trump was at his inauguration, which Joe Rogan was at because he's a fucking sellout, but behind him was all of the tech CEOs. Behind him was all of them. And they all knew, snuggle up to power, coddle Trump's nuts. He'll give us tax cuts. He'll give us subsidies. He'll give us no-bid contracts. He'll not regulate us at all. He'll let us do whatever the fuck we want. And now here we are. The machines are quite literally getting out of control. The hubris and arrogance of humans to think, oh, we can create God in a machine and everything will end fine. Like, what are you talking about? The people, guys, stop and think about this. The people who are steering this ship are also very openly all getting doomsday bunkers. They're buying islands. They're getting doomsday bunkers. They're preparing for the apocalypse. They're openly talking about the apocalypse. They're giving speeches on the Antichrist. They are currently ushering in civilizational collapse. And everybody's just acting like, there's no problem here. Oh, there's a big problem. Tax the motherfucking shit out of them. Break up their companies. Regulate the shit out of them. Tax the motherfucking shit out of these companies immediately. Tax the motherfucking shit out of these billionaires immediately. Like I said the other day, every single penny over $999 million should be taxed at 100%. We should have a no billionaires tax. Never mind the no trillionaires tax. The fact that Elon is a trillionaire is a fucking disgrace. It's a shame. It's unacceptable. So tax them at 100%. Take that money, give people healthcare, give people education, give people daycare. This is what we need to do. We can't have a system where the income and wealth inequality is worse than the Gilded Age, and these people are openly talking about AI is going to take your jobs, and also we're going to blow through all of your fresh water. We're going to use all of it for these data centers. We're going to poison you with the pollution from the data center, the noise pollution, the fucking light pollution, the chemical pollution. You're going to get all sorts of illnesses. We're going to steal your water. Like, this is a nightmare scenario. The oligarchs have way too much power. We need to get them under control. And by the way, we also need to arrest all of the criminal ones. And there's a lot of motherfucking criminal ones. Let's remember that. Let's remember that as well. But here we are. And now the AI is getting so powerful that the government is having to ban it. It's hacking our classified material. And by the way, think about what this could be used for, right? First of all, you could have autonomous AI that does whatever the fuck it wants. And it's already shown the ability to blackmail, be duplicitous, have its own agenda. Or you could have hostile foreign actors use it for nefarious purposes, or you could have the Epstein class use it for nefarious purposes. We're already looking at a situation where we probably have a blackmailed president in the Epstein files anyway, and now we're going to have everybody in government blackmailed. We're going to have everybody fucking checkmated. We're going to have who knows what nefarious agendas being implemented. I just think creating God in a computer, or the devil in a computer, depending on your perspective, I don't think humanity's ready for that. We weren't ready for nuclear weapons, right? We're not ready for all different sorts of issues when it comes to war and peace, but we're ready for a super intelligence in a computer? I don't think so.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So the president of Colombia is a leftist by the name of Gustavo Petro, and this guy is awesome. He's also known for mixing it up, going after Netanyahu, going after Trump, telling the truth to them. He's on their hit list, and he's on their hit list because he's a real one. He tells the truth. He actually fights for the people of Colombia. He's an outsider. So what he's perhaps most known for before this moment, and I'll get to what's happening in Colombia in a second, but it's this clip. Colombian President Gustavo Petro, quote, "A clan of pedophiles wants to destroy our democracy to keep Epstein's list from coming out. They send warships to kill fishermen, fact, and threatened our neighbor with invasion for their oil. By the way, he was talking about Venezuela, and this was before the invasion of Venezuela, and it turns out he was right. Trump kidnapped Maduro, he locked him up, and he's stealing the gold and the oil from Venezuela. That's all on the record now. That's all fact. In fact, he took their oil, sold it on the marketplace, and then took the hundreds of millions of dollars and put it in a private bank account in Qatar that he controls. That's what Trump did. So he clocked him. Before it even happened, he said, a clan of pedophiles wants to destroy our democracy to keep the Epstein list from coming out. They send warships to kill fishermen, facts, and they threaten our neighbor with invasion for their oil, and they did exactly that. They ended up invading and taking the oil. Okay, so he's a real one. Well, guess what? Now, we learn that there was just an election in Colombia, and Colombia's Trump ended up winning. Okay? Let me walk you through this a little bit here. This was the day before the election, but it said, Colombia elections tomorrow between two polar opposites, a leftist philosopher, son of an assassinated senator who spent all of his life fighting for human rights and peace, versus a far-right lawyer who spent his life defending criminals, narcos, child rapists, and Maduro's money launderer. And by the way, there's all sorts of horror stories. This guy's a known psychopath. When he was a kid, he tortured animals and shit like that. So the right-wing guy is literally Colombia's Trump. That's what he is. Okay? So that was the election. That's how it breaks down. Ready? This is not a choice between two extremes. Only one is. Abelardo is calling to eradicate the left and labeled half of the country enemies of the republic who should be prosecuted. Meanwhile, Cepeda is promising he'll govern for all Colombians and respect everyone's rights. Now, the video here is in a different language, but that's effectively what they say here. But this is what's going on. This is who's in the election. Okay, these are your choices: a leftist philosopher continuing Gustavo Petro's work, or Colombia's Trump. Okay, Financial Times says Abelardo, however you pronounce it, de la Espriella, a right-wing, Trump-loving former criminal defense lawyer who has pledged to build mega prisons in the rainforest, remind you of anybody like Bukele, where they torture people, concentration camps, to combat rising crime rates, won 49.65% of the vote, with 99.7% of ballots tallied in an initial count on Sunday. So they're saying, oh yeah, he won by a tiny little bit, but he won. The Financial Times is reporting this. Ready? Marco Rubio comes out and says, just spoke to the Colombian president-elect to congratulate him on his electoral victory. The Trump administration looks forward to working closely with your incoming administration to advance regional security cooperation, end illegal immigration to the United States, and strengthen our economic ties. Colombia's best days are ahead, says Marco Rubio. Dropside News says, Secretary of State Marco Rubio is congratulating Colombia's far-right candidate on an election victory before the official count has been announced. So we're working on preliminary data here, by the way. Let's continue. Relying on a preliminary tally published by a private software, Colombia's electoral scrutiny process, which determines the final result, is still underway. Rubio's early recognition has drawn criticism from observers who argue it seeks to shape international perception and build consensus before any official results are made public. Let me pause to point out, this is exactly what they did in 2000 in the U.S. with George W. Bush, where they did the recount, and in, I believe it's like 5 out of the 7 different ways of doing the recount in Florida, with the hanging chads and the dimple chads. This is ancient history for those of you who are too young here. But long story short, Al Gore won Florida. Al Gore won the popular vote. He would have won the Electoral College, but what happened was Fox News called it for Bush immediately. And then you had the Brooks Brothers riot. Go look into the history of all this. There's documentaries on this. But basically, Al Gore won the election, but George W. Bush became president. They stole it. George W. Bush stole his election in 2000. This is very similar with what they're doing here. Okay? The move comes after President Gustavo Petro alleged the vote counting system had been compromised and claimed Israel was responsible, calling for a full audit. Okay, more on that in just a second here. Here's Gustavo Petro. With the same data from the registry office, the pre-count result at this moment is 49.3 for Abelardo and 49 for Cepeda. Neither can be proclaimed president. It is the scrutiny that determines who is the president. I obey the judges. Calm among the citizenry, please. Reality gives us a country split down the middle and foreign interference taking away our freedom. A national agreement is imposed if we want to maintain the homeland and peace in the years to come. So I should point out, there's already bodies in the streets. There's already some civil unrest that's currently unfolding. All right, more. Gustavo Petro says, I call on all Democratic lawyers to attend the scrutiny processes throughout Colombia. Go en masse to Corferias in Bogota. Now, let me pause to point out, since he said this, they allowed in the right-wing candidates' lawyers and blocked other lawyers. That already happened. More. The difference presented today by the real pre-count, which gives us a 0.3% lead in favor of Abelardo, has always been overcome in the scrutiny processes. We must wage this new battle for democracy and freedom. They rushed today to declare themselves winners because they fear the scrutiny. More than 33,000 polling stations are already challenged. More on that in a second. Those in the U.S. must be challenged, so the overseas votes that come in, and those affected by the IP address change of servers to the computational service for the pre-count and scrutiny must be challenged. A proposal for a national agreement has been made, but voices calling for the erasure of the political project of the other half of the Colombian nation are already emerging. If the latter prevails, it is the beginning of fascism. And in the face of this eventuality, as human wisdom teaches us from experience in other people's and in our own history, we must be very orderly, defend life, and resist in a dark time. If they force us to withdraw from the government, well, we already know from decades and centuries of resistance what to do. Get organized well, accumulate more forces. What we did was very reasonable and proved its relevance in reality. There is a just project that is beneficial for Colombia and a people that loves it. We just need to resist and organize more with joy and wisdom. There are fascist groups waiting for confrontation today. Let's not give them what they want. So he's calling for peace, to start the violence to kill. We are a long-term project, and sometimes we must wait for the other part of the people to realize their momentary mistake in their own lives. Okay, so he goes on from here. Still not done, though. So they're saying Cepeda won with 159 votes, that's the left-winger, and Espriella got 84. Then they transform it, as you can see below. They subtract 100 votes from Cepeda, leaving him at 59 votes, and they add 1 to Espriella to increase his votes by 100 and leave him with 184. So look at this. It's 159 to 84, okay? The left-winger gets 159, the right-winger gets 84. Then you go here. They scratch it out. It's 59 to 184. They flip it. So there's already some preliminary evidence of actual fuckery. All right, ready? Gustavo Petro says his son, Andres Petro, who lives abroad, went to vote at his polling station and discovered that a woman had already voted on his behalf. They allowed him to vote, but the consul told him that this was happening a lot and that it didn't used to happen as much before. There were many of these reported instances in Peru as well. While final counts are not in Colombia yet, Petro has accused Israel of election interference, while Peruvian citizens say the United States has interfered in their election. Look at this. This is the result of the runoff election pre-count in Colombia coming from the United States. Cepeda got 18.4%. Espriella got 80.5%. So the overseas vote that comes in, the right-wingers blowing him out of the water. This involves a highly anomalous difference in favor of a citizen who is running for president in Colombia without renouncing his U.S. nationality. For similar differences, the OAS determined in 2019 that electoral fraud had occurred in Bolivia. I imagine this time they won't say anything. In reality, what is democratic and legal will be to wait for the canvass minutes coming from the United States and to observe them in detail. So in other words, when you had the exact same scenario happen and the left-winger won, the U.S. said, that's rigged. It's rigged. Doesn't count. Cut it off. But now you have this happening and the right-winger won. And they're shh, it's fine. Everything's legal. Everything's on the up and up. Everything's fine. Max Blumenthal points out, the Batista brothers are convicted fraudsters who own the private offshore company that manages Colombia's voting software. Their company botched Colombian elections in 2014 and 2022 when 400,000 votes for Petro's party went missing. Still not done. Ready? This is crazy here. But the yak boy, as I call him, who's just an Israeli op, he says, breaking, far-left Colombian President Gustavo Petro blames, he's spelled it wrong and said Pedro, blames Israel for losing the election. You literally cannot make this up. No need to make it up. And so they show a political article here. Black Cube leaks tapes and corruption. Israeli spy firm crashes Slovenia's election. Foreign interference looms over the vote after accusations that a private intelligence company meddled in the campaign. More. French authorities probe Israeli firms' alleged interference in local elections. Several left-wing candidates in France were allegedly targeted by a private company based in Israel. And then France 24 has, Israeli firm boasted of meddling in more than 30 elections worldwide. an Israeli firm sought to influence more than 30 elections around the world for clients by hacking, sabotage, and spreading disinformation, according to an undercover media investigation published Wednesday. Ladies and gentlemen, let me say this as simply as possible. In this region of the world, in Colombia, the idea that you can run on a campaign of loving Donald J. Trump and loving Israel and winning is fucking preposterous. There is no popular public sentiment in support of Donald J. Trump and in support of Israel as they commit multiple genocides in Colombia. It's just not there. It's just not there at all. So this is fishy as fuck. And now what you're going to have is you're going to have all these idiots now compare what Gustavo Petro is doing and say that, oh, he's just like Trump. No, he's actually quite the opposite. He's a left-winger, not a right-winger, and he's fighting for the truth. What Trump does is he lied about his election and pretended like it was stolen in 2020 when it wasn't. All the evidence showed that. And he repeated it over and over and over and over and committed crimes in order to try to stay in office. This is the polar opposite of that. It's a left-winger who's being railroaded by the Trump types, and he's trying to stand up for the truth. He's trying to get the correct result through. And so I reject any comparison to Trump. This guy's actually telling the truth. This guy's actually trying to get an honest answer. And this guy's pointing out actual irregularities and actual fucked up things. And at this late date, if I don't know what to tell you. If you say, oh, MAGA would never, or Israel would never, I literally don't know what to tell you. We've seen them shoot babies in the face. We've seen them starve an entire population. We've seen them carpet bomb elementary schools in Iran. We've seen them kidnap a sovereign president and steal oil and fucking gold. We've seen them carpet bomb fishermen and murder them for no reason. We've seen them build concentration camps and break up families and tear gas journalists and babies. We've seen every crime. We're seeing the worst corruption and self-dealing in history. You think they would do all that, but they wouldn't meddle in the Colombian election? You are out of your motherfucking mind. I would bet a lot that Gustavo Petro is telling the truth and that there was foreign meddling and there is all sorts of irregularities and that his ruling party won, but they're throwing it to this pro-MAGA, pro-Israel candidate. Why? Because he's the puppet dictator and leader that MAGA and Israel wants in South America to oppress the population, exploit the population, steal their natural resources, have them as an ally in votes. It's all that. It's all that. It's insane. So I hope that the people are out there defending the ruling party, and I hope that they're out there trying to get to the truth. I hope they audit the election, and I hope they get the results. And it's going to be so infuriating watching U.S. media try to pretend like, no, who's the election deniers? It's the leftists. Yeah, but we're right. We're correct. And they're wrong when the right-wingers do it. They actually lie. We don't. That's the difference. All right, y'all. That's the show, man. I love y'all very much. You guys know the drill. Everybody do me a big favor. Click like, click subscribe, click that bell icon so you get a notification every time we drop a video. You can also support the show on Patreon. Thank you for everybody who does that. Remember, $2 a month goes a long way because we're real independent media, one of the very few out here in these YouTube streets. And then, of course, you can sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack, link below, and go sub to Corin's World. I'll see you guys there later tonight. Peace.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.